is called Wired. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning, Spiritual Life Center. Welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. We're so glad you're here, and you are in the right place at the right time.
That's right. You're in the right place at the right time, just where you are meant to be. We're so happy that you're here with us today, whether you're live streaming or here in person. So we're going to sing about it. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Please join me in turning around and saying good morning to those live streaming. You're in the right place at the right time. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Your soul, my soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. You know that your soul's so welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul, your soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Your souls are welcome here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Spiritual Life Center Experience.
And it is a very soulful day. Do you feel it?
It's a good day because you're here.
Good day. So we greet you in the name of all that is good and all that is beautiful and all that is just so sacred and so warm and so unique about this community, Spiritual Life Center. And whether you are here for the first time or you have been coming since the first day, you are never here by accident. You are here by divine appointment. And we're so grateful that you kept your appointment with us this morning. And do a favor, anything that you have that's electronic, that's keeping other appointments, make that silent. That beep, that blurt, that jingle, that buzz, that ringtone. And that will assist it will assist that system that does sound, the sound system.
We will have that clearing.
Ira's laughing at me.
We'll have that clear connection with the presence. So with that clearing established, let us commune with this presence for just a moment. to remind us who and what we are. We are reminded that we are unique expressions of divine love itself. And we are here to express it in our own unique ways. And as we lowly listen, come under his guidance and government, we realize that we are the way that the Spirit of God gets around. That this presence, this power, this love that is known by so many different ways and so many different names needs us, for we are one with it in spirit. And so from this consciousness, we radiate from the depths of our being the qualities of love and peace and joy and wisdom and all that's good and perfect. We affirm and see that for the entire world. But first of all, we begin with ourselves. And as we make it the activity of our awareness, not only are we lifted up, but all those around us are lifted up as well, because we indeed are interconnected on that soul level. So we go forth this morning knowing that we're here to multiply and amplify the all good. This is our commission and charge and why we are here, and we cannot fail. It is done. Amen.
It's a very special Sunday.
Oh, yes, it is a very special.
It's been a very special weekend.
Yes, and I want to acknowledge, I say we kind of reintroduce someone that's been here before, the Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons, who's going to share with us this morning. You know, as I mentioned, kind of like in passing, that I consider him like the church whisperer and always the individuals that's kind of seeing where we're heading as spiritual communities. We had worked together when we were at Unity Worldwide Ministries, and we went through our own ups and downs and challenges and the twirling of all kinds of opportunities to grow, develop, and unfold together. And we're here to help transform the world. And so we're here to partner with you to help do that. And so Gary's going to be serving as our coach as we kind of transform ourselves into the next stage of our evolution, what we're emerging to, what we're come here to be. So without any further ado, I'm just going to have you give a warm welcome to Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons, who's going to share with us this morning.
And we had just a wonderful Friday and Saturday of the genogram activity with Gary. How many of you were with us on Friday or Saturday?
Quite a few.
Beautiful, heart-opening opportunity to share, and that's going to just continue to expand. So on Wednesday this week, we have a wonderful program with Reverend Janae Marth, and she will be doing the art of finding and following your inner wisdom, and it's all related, and we all have it. So join us for that. Salad is at 6, and that program is at 7. And now, on another note of beautiful expansion, we have our board member, Penny Clement. She has a few words about our intentional giving campaign for 2018.
Good morning. Good morning. Really, this is just a reminder. We introduced the intentional giving last Sunday, and we hope to complete it today. We hope to inspire all of you to fill out your form today and hand it in. Just put it in the basket. This is so helpful to the church to know what we can count on you for. And just a reminder, this church is only here because of you. You have generated and created this church from the beginning. We have no big daddy out in the sky handing us money. It comes through our membership, and we are so deeply grateful. And I hope you take the time to look through this booklet and appreciate all that you've created and all that we're able to do because of you. Last week, we only had the ETF form in our little booklet. So this week, we got on the ball and did it right. This is the little sheet for all of you, every single person. The very first one, if you're a brand new supporter, haven't done this sort of thing before, it's like take the big step, make a conscious commitment from your heart about what's right for you. Anything that you put down will come back to you many times. And we know that, all of us who have been committed and have been giving for a long time. Now, those who want to continue your financial support just the way you have been doing, thank God you're there. Thank God you are just like the Rock of Gibraltar taking care of us. We're so grateful. If anybody's inspired to do something extra, a one-time donation, wow, what a happy surprise. We would love that. We're always open for happy surprises. And of course, those of you who feel called to step up into a larger commitment and increase your donation for this year, totally empowering. It empowers you because you become a larger person every time you make a larger commitment. And of course, it empowers this ministry to have you step up in that way. So all you have to do is fill out your form, put it in the offering basket, complete this whole process, and start reaping the beautiful results. So all I can say is thank you, God, for each and every single precious soul here today. Amen.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you. I think in some respects, Penny was just reminding us we have something for everyone. Unity leaves no one out. So there's somewhere on there that you can make that contribution. And as we collectively work together, there's nothing that we cannot accomplish. And just wanted to remind you that we're going to be having our Abundance Project class that's going to start April the 26th. And there's information in the bulletin that gives you the details. But it's really all about how we can activate that within that abundance that's within us. You know, we always say that all we need, we already have. But the question always becomes, how can we begin to make that a reality in our day-to-day life? And so we're going to be looking at tools and techniques and practices that we can begin to bring out the infinite possibilities that were in us. And so I invite you to be part of that. We're going to be building upon what we did with our mindfulness meditation class, by being totally present first and realize that all we need is around us. The question is, how do we want it to show up in our own life, in every aspect of it? So not only financially, but also spiritually, relationship-wise, health-wise, because it's already there.
And I have a little data to share on you.
You have some data,
I'm going to share some data on you.
All
So
righty.
as the Minister of Education, I receive the class evaluation forms. And so James just finished a 3-week meditation class, and I can tell you, popular opinion has him as an excellent teacher. And it's a way to have him one-on-one in small group, and he just shines in that experience. So you think he's good up here, you should read the reviews, and you should take one of his classes, because he's the real deal, and he's a pretty cool guy. And
I was here sweating for a minute because y'all thought you were
He had
evaluating me.
no
Going to share
idea.
my evaluation with everybody.
He has no idea sometimes what I'm going to say. So he did a wonderful little exercise with that meditation class, and he was putting together little baggies of raisins for everyone in that class. So I have a feeling that there might be a surprise in your abundance class.
You never know what spirit will show up.
Maybe a bag of raisins, it may be something else. Anyway, you know, every now and again, you come across teachers like James, and you come across teachers that you know are teaching you at the core of your truth. It rings true. And I had the great honor of having my mentor be Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons for the Q coaching program that Elaine and I went through. And I am so grateful. And I'm grateful he's here, and I'm grateful he's going to share just a few words with you about, he's one of the founders of Q. And who best to tell you about our May 12th Q than the originator himself? Gary?
All righty.
Do the Q. So how many of you are dealing with a sense of not enough? Come on. It's just a fur ball. Cough it up. So a sense of not enough. So whenever we have a sense of not enough, we make whatever we have insufficient. Doesn't matter what we have. We may experience an increase, and this is important, especially when you practice principles of abundance. You'll experience an increase, but if you have a sense of not enough, you'll make that insufficient in short order. So the Q process is a way of really expunging the limiting beliefs that you've taken on as a little boy or a little girl, and it helps you integrate those beliefs so that you're no longer tethered to your imprisoned self, to the part of yourself that is still tethered to your sense of not enough. So that's the biggest takeaway, is that you really integrate your sense of not enough, and you learn how to make whatever you have be unto yourself your abundance. That's one way to look at it. So, that's it.
Thank you,
Gary.
Doc. You know, several members of the men's group and others have suggested that we bring in a young minister from the Unity of the Lake at the lake in South Tahoe, Stu Bittman. So he's actually going to be here on May the 27th, and he's going to be talking about students achieving oneness may move on to two-ness, which is very interesting. Yeah. And so he's also going to have a workshop that afternoon, Living from the Heart. And he's going to join us with Sherry Rain, who's going to do the meditation, as well as Michael Dean Rogers, who's going to do the music. So I think he's done some work with Stu before. So we're going to have a rocking good time that day. So just put that in your calendar and be here for Stu on the 27th.
And I think Paula might have a few words for us right now about a very exciting thing coming up.
Yes, well, there's so many exciting things, but I'm here to tell you about one particular exciting thing. I'd like to know how many people in this room have never been to one of our Mystic Cafes. Okay, mark the date, Friday, June 1st. You don't want to miss it. The tickets always sell out. So the Mystic Cafe is our brand of a particular kind of event, and we transform the sanctuary into a Mystic Cafe with little tables and candles, and Tom Chrisman and Judy Chrisman, they prepare wonderful hors d'oeuvres. So you arrive at 6:30 and there's a reception with beer and wine. And then you can wander into the Mystic Cafe and experience something truly mystic. And for this particular one, Friday, June 1st, we're going to have our very own Carol Manson, who's in the house today, with the Blue Skies Band, an awesome band. There'll be some musicians here that you have not met before, as well as some familiar ones. And then Anne and I have also been invited to participate as well. So it's going to be an evening of awesome jazz favorites, Duke Ellington, Carlos Jobim. Who else are we doing? Ella Fitzgerald. It's going to be a really swinging night. So the tickets always sell out because there's only room for 115 people. So get your tickets. They are on sale online and I believe in the courtyard as well. Thank you.
All righty.
And I have seen tears when people can't get a ticket to the Mystic Cafe. She's not kidding. I have seen tears. I have had calls. I have had begging. I have had people groveling. So
And none of it works when you come to Louise, yeah. Okay.
I don't know how to take that. Anyway, moving on. So we have some really wonderful people we want to introduce you to. They are our ambassadors and our prayer chaplains. And those ambassadors, they wear that rainbow ribbon. And they are here to greet you and lead you in the direction of your next connection here at Spiritual Life Center. And if you would like to be an ambassador, I hear from a credible source that you too could be an ambassador. So see the ambassadors and know that there's a spot for you if you'd like to be one of our welcoming presence people. And our chaplains, they wear the white stoles. They are here to hold us in confidential prayer, whether we are having a challenge or a celebration. Yes, we pray for everything and we affirm our good. So join those chaplains in the back of the sanctuary or in the courtyard after service today.
And if you're here for the very first time, in a moment, we just ask you to raise your hand so we can give you a special gift and let you know about the opportunities to be part of Spiritual Life Center on a deeper way. And there's a card we're going to give you. We invite you to turn that in at the end of the service when we do the offertory basket, or you can turn it to the welcome table in the courtyard after the service. And so if you're here for the first time,
Yeah, this is the time to raise your hand.
just raise your hand if you're here for the first timers.
We
Yes.
also are going to hand you a chalet, and we would love for you to wear it. There's a little tag on that chalet, and it says, "We believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that there are many paths to the one God." And we are so grateful that you joined us on your unique path today. Whatever brought you here, we call it good. And we would love, as soon as they're finished back there, if you'll stand and greet our newcomers and then each other.
And Claudia, behind you, there's someone on the other side.
Stay standing. Many of you might remember this song. It was a Faith in Action tune from 2012, so if you've been attending for a while. It's written by Paula Mandela, so let's join and sing it together.
Hello, everybody. You're just having a fun time out there, aren't you? Okay, so what Ann was saying is that is that we're going to sing a song together, and this song was written in 2012. It was one of the Faith in Action songs, The Mystery of That. You may remember.
And you'll find the lyrics up on the screen.
On the screen.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Together. Out beyond the edge of everything I think I know lies a field of dreams with endless possibilities. Pushed by desperation or pulled by inspiration, the universe says yes to my creation. So I move mindfully into the mystery of that which is yet to be. Out here on the dance floor with my fears, I take the lead. Step by step, we're moving on with ease and gracefully. Music of my heart orchestrates my part. This magic moment here now at the start. I step out joyfully into the mystery of that which is yet to be. At the still point of the dance, I hear a voice so soft and sweet, guiding me, reminding me of who I'm here to be, living in the mystery and learning to love it, the art of uncertainty. Patience is the key, living in the mystery and learning to love it, the art Persistence is the key. Living in the mystery and learning to love it. The art of uncertainty. Passion is the key. Living in the mystery and learning to love it. The art of uncertainty. Patience is the key. Persistence is the key. Passion is the key. Living in the mystery. Please be seated. It is a great song. I agree. Our very own Paula Mandela. I saw y'all moving out there. It's okay to move in church. It is. It's okay.
All right, now we're going to settle in and prepare for our meditation by speaking together and embodying the words of our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom, we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
And now, in preparation for meditation, I invite you to take a nice deep breath and settle into your chair. And please join us in singing, "Create in Me a New Heart. Create in me new life." Together. Create in me a new heart. Create in me new life. Create in me a new heart. Create in me new life. May my life be a prayer. May my life be a prayer. Create in me a new heart. Create in me new life. Create in me a new heart. Create in me new life. May my life be a prayer. May my life be a prayer. Create in me a new heart. Create in me new life. Create in me a new heart. Create in me new life.
Create in me new life. And through this, may my life be a prayer. As we move into this time of meditation, allow yourself to become comfortable. Breathing deeply, we let go. Breathing in again, we connect to our hearts. In this place of stillness, we are open and spirit flows in. In the midst of evolution, we find our calling. Between the pain of letting go and the joy of anticipation, we find ourselves floating in the middle, casting our cares upon God. We say goodbye to yesterday. Mourn my broken heart. Allow me to grieve and heal. As I let go, beloved Spirit, guide me through. As I weave my path of intention and claim my future, moving towards tomorrow and that place where I belong, where I am known and can bear my soul. For in this place I am surrounded by love. And now is the time. Knowing every thought and every action is sacred. Standing in my truth, I choose courage over fear. Moving towards the pull of spirit, allowing all that is. This is the place for our prayers, here in the love of spirit. As I dream of community and belonging, my heart sighs in recognition. As I meet friends along the path, I search for that stirring in my soul, a reminder to be a better person, to find my calling, to listen with my heart, and follow where it leads. Yes, Lord, it is me, seeking my dreams, dancing in the mystery. Which path will I follow? Who do I wish to be? Take this time now in the silence to listen to your soul's calling for your tomorrow dream. And as we return to this time and this place, and open to all that is, and all we are meant to be, we find ourselves pulled by intention, singing our truth. For here in the arms of Spirit, we find we are home. And so it is.
bringing the blessings of angels and singing a song, spreading our wings in a fresh stream, the winds at our backs as we sail away. And wonder by wonder as we go, we're already home. It feels like an excellent journey before we begin. Perfect strangers befriend us and welcome us in, opening up in a fresh breeze. The weight of the world is falling away. And wonder by wonder as we go, we're already home. Joy's a revelation, the path and the destination, and that's all that we need to know. The advantage from the start is that home is where the heart is, and there's no place love cannot go. Following the leader inside, expecting the best. The world shows up for the party, and we are the guests. Every breath is a fresh start. We open our hearts and get carried away. And wonder but a wonder as we go, we're already home. We come upon our demons, guarding the gates of freedom. They offer a word to the wise. And our old friend the shadow's been with us from the get-go, just another ally in disguise. Great day in the morning, starting at dawn, bringing the blessings of angels and singing a song, spreading our wings in a fresh breeze, the winds at our backs as we sail away. And wonder but a wonder as we go, and wonder but a wonder as we go, we're already home.
That's Victor Sparks.
Roach and Roach.
Have you ever been in the awkward moment of trying to explain to somebody what unity is all about? Anybody ever? I was recently in a conversation with my hairdresser. It takes a professional to create this look. And so here I'm going to give you a way in which you can describe what we're up to. So unity is the art and practice of living with nothing and no one against you. Think about that for a moment. Isn't that our effort? I mean, that's our effort, because the world kind of invites us into the struggle to kind of be right, to conform, have things the way in order to measure up. So we have to work against that energy that is trying to conform us into a way of being or an identity that is not the truth of us. And so our challenge always is to be in that effort, regardless of how our life looks and feels, and to know that it's always for us. I mean, we have that as our foundation and principle. There's one presence and one power, God the good, and there are no exceptions. And yet, when we're experiencing something that looks and feels against us, we act as if it is against us. And so we have to bring into our experience of what we're having a kind of power that enables us to work with what is happening in our life as a means of evolving ourselves into a greater expression of who and what we come here to be. Because when our life looks and feels against us, it's really a mirror to our own disconnect, right? And that's what's really going on. And so, as James was mentioned, I'm here as your coach, and this is my opportunity to coach the community. Normally, I coach the organization. I coach the principals in your leadership in terms of evolving the ministry into a more sustainable ministry practice. And over the weekend, we did a module within the coaching program called the Genogram Activity, which is about it's about presencing the church's shadow or pain body, because all of us have one. All of us have aspects of ourselves that we have separated from, that live in those places within us where that can be described as the little boy or little girl within us is still carrying around a sense of inadequacy or a sense of unworthiness, a sense that we're not enough. And so when we recognize that we possess limiting beliefs within ourselves that manifest as insufficiency in our world, that manifests as the habits of judgment and struggle and scarcity, when we recognize that those experiences are created because we have beliefs within ourselves that run us, when we recognize that we have the self that, when we're not conscious, replicates a kind of personal reality that's based upon our conditioning. And so if we just kind of understand, okay, that's what's really going on. When my life looks and feels against me, it's just mirroring that place where I'm living in my own personal disconnect. I'm separate apart from who and what I've come here to be. And it's up to me to fix that, because the world is not going to put any effort in that, you see. And so the experience that we created over the weekend is all about creating the church's shadow card and the church's sense of who and what it has come here to be. And that's important, not only for the community, but it's important for us as individuals. That's why the Q process is integral to our evolving the ministry into a more sustainable paradigm, because the sense of not enough is what's keeping us kind of in bondage to how our life looks and feels, as opposed to recognizing, no, once I free myself from this belief that I'm not enough, then something else gets mirrored back to me, and that is my abundance. And then I begin to condition my awareness that whatever I have is my abundance. So whatever I have, no matter what it is, I can use to evolve myself into a greater expression of who and what I've come here to be. There is no situation where you can't use to bring forth a greater good in your life. And that's what we need to remind ourselves about. And so, I'll be bringing forth the cue card for the church. And then that'll be something that we'll begin to work with in our process of evolving. And those of you who haven't been in the Q process, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but just kind of get there, do the Q, and you'll see what we're talking about. So James has mentioned our association over the years. When James came to Unity Worldwide Ministries, was it 2005? Yeah. We had a vision of really transforming the entire New Thought movement with what we knew was possible with these principles. That when we apply spiritual principles and recognize that we can create a different reality by virtue of shifting how we're being with what we're having, we endeavored to do that. The problem is that it's hard to change an entire movement from the top down. It has to happen from the bottom up. And so our work together is to create a model ministry for the entire Unity movement. Are you up for that? Yeah. Okay, that's the story I'm telling. That's the story that I'm telling the world, that this is what we're up to. We're up to creating a sustainable ministry practice that builds its interconnection and builds its sense of purpose in the context of transforming lives. And as we experience it for ourselves, then we become, in the context of who we are and what we're up to, we become an ambassador for this effort to midwife a whole new world. And so as we look around at the world, the question is, are we on the transition team or not? And that's our effort, is that we know that our principles make a difference. We know our thoughts create our own personal reality. And as we begin to shift and understand the mechanism for how we create our life experience, then we can kind of create something that is in alignment with who and what we've come here to be, as opposed to being a reactive relationship to life and just kind of dealing with it at face value. And so we're talking about living our life from the inside out, not from the outside in. Right now, that's our default position. We take in our life thinking that what we're having is our reality, and we have our felt experience as proof. And so when our felt experience is not very pleasant, we think our life is against us. But the reality is that how our life looks and feels has nothing to do with what's happening out there. It has everything to do with who we're being within ourselves, in our relationship to what we're having. And so I would go to James with all these ideas about how we can transform the Unity movement, and he would say yes to that. And I loved working with James, and I'm so thankful that we're in partnership again, transforming the Unity movement. And James would say yes to everything that I wanted to do, and we would go forth and try to transform the Unity movement. But because we were doing it from the top down, it was way ahead of its time. 10 years ago we did this. And then James fired me. Well, he didn't fire me per se. I mean, circumstances were such in 2009, the bottom fell out of the Unity movement. The sense of not enough was so great that almost half the home office staff had to be released. It was the unintended consequence of this limiting belief of not enough. And because the Unity Worldwide Ministries is dependent upon the love offerings and tithes of its member and affiliated ministries, just like this ministry is dependent upon the love offerings and tithes of its community, when there's a sense of not enough, there's real challenges that we have to deal with. But we're not trying to deal with these challenges by trying to get more. We're trying to deal with these challenges by being more, you see. That's our effort. That's what we're trying to do. Now, shortly after James released me to to my path of trying to figure out how I'm going to live in this world without a job. At that time, this was what I looked like. I was about 100 pounds heavier than I am right now. That was 10 years ago. And then 6 months later, of course, I created this body. Not so bad, right? And James came out of the Unity bookstore at Unity Village one day, and he saw me for the first time after 6 months, and he saw this compared to that, and he said this to me, and I've never forgotten what he said in that moment. He said, "Man, you can do anything." And I realized that the effort that I put in to really transform myself from the inside out, not from the outside in, had paid off, and it gave me the sense that I can do anything. And I want you to have that same sense. You can do anything you really put your greater mind to. Your greater mind to, right? You have to access a dimension of yourself that lives independently of your conditioned self system. And so that's the challenge, and that's what we're wanting to talk about. So in a moment, I'm going to share a movie, and I say that because the folks are going to cue that up. And in a moment, this movie is Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is the author of Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, The Placebo Effect, and his latest book, Becoming Supernatural, How Ordinary People Are Doing the Uncommon. All of his work is, I'm a great student of Dr. Joe. I've been participating in all of his meditation intensives. I believe that his work has helped to heal my heart. I had cancer a couple years ago. I healed my body through medical cannabis, but I healed my heart through Dr. Joe's work. And I'm wanting to share this video right now because it gives us a sense of what we must do within our consciousness to shift into owning a future that lives congruent with who and what we've come here to be. And so when we talk about owning our future, I'm wanting you to get that this is something that we're trying to create. We're trying to own our capacity to create a life that it lives in harmony with who and what we've come here to be. So go for it.
How many people in this audience actually believe in the idea that the way you think has some effect on your life? That your thoughts create your life? You believe that, yes? So your brain, according to neuroscience, is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of your environment. It's a record, an artifact of your past. So if you believe this, then does your environment control your thinking, or does your thinking control your environment? So then, as the environment turns on different circuits in your brain, you begin to think equal to your environment. As you see the same people and go to the same places and do the same things at the same time, it's the external environment that's turning on different circuits in your brain, causing you to think equal to everything that you know. And as long as you think equal to everything that's familiar and known to you, what do you keep creating more of? Same life. Now, the quantum law is still applying to you. You're just thinking equal to everything that you know, and you keep creating more of the same. To change, to truly change, is to think greater than your environment. So can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the event has already happened? Neuroscience says it's absolutely possible. Now, your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. It's that simple. And your personality is made up of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. So the present personality who's sitting here today, you, has created the present personal reality called your life. Would you agree? Would you also agree then, if you wanted to create a new personal reality, that on a fundamental level you would have to change the thoughts that you are thinking, the behaviors and habits that you're demonstrating, and the emotions that you've memorized that's become part of your identity? And most people try to create a new personal reality as the same personality, and it never works. We have to become somebody else. And if you keep repeating the same states of mind and body over and over again, your brain begins to fire in the same sequences, in the same patterns and same combinations. And whenever you make your brain work in a certain way, that's called mind. Mind is the brain in action. So as you remind yourself every day who you think you are, you're causing your brain to fire in the exact same ways. And as they fire and wire in the same patterns over time, the brain moves into a very finite signature, and that's called your personality. So the moment you begin to feel the way you think, because the brain is in constant communication with your body, you begin to think the way you feel, which makes more chemicals for you to feel the way you think, and then you think the way you feel, and then you feel the way you think, and then you think the way you feel. And some people do this for 20 or 30 or 40 years. Now, the redundancy of that cycle over time creates what I call a state of being. And a state of being is when your mind and body are working together, or your thoughts and feelings are aligned to a concept. And as people get caught in this cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking, over time, they condition their body to memorize that emotion as well as the conscious mind. And whenever the body knows as well as the mind, that's called a habit. A habit is when your body is the mind. Now, 95% of who you are by the time you're 35 years old is a set of memorized behaviors, a set of emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, attitudes that run just like a computer program. So 5% of your conscious mind begins to work against 95% of what you've memorized. So the person wants to think positively, but they're feeling negatively. They want to create their dream board, and put up their future life, but they feel unworthy. That's mind and body in opposition. We have to recondition the body to a new mind. So how many people here know someone who's memorized suffering? Doesn't have to be you, it could be anybody.
So go ahead and switch that to my slides and get the habit of being slide up there. There we go. So while the slide's coming up, Dr. Joe's talking about how our habits of being create our personal reality, and if we're to create a greater good in our life, or if we're to own a future that lives in the context of who and what we've come here to be, aligned with our purpose and passion, we need to work with the circuitry that governs how we create our personal reality, you see. And so here's a slide that identifies the component parts of this mind-body phenomenon, the circuits that run us automatically. So therefore, the habit of being conditions our habit of doing, which conditions our habit of how we're having our life, which conditions our habits of how we train our body to feel certain feelings and emotions, and therefore the chemistry, which conditions what we believe about ourselves, which conditions the stories that we tell, our way of perceiving our experience, and therefore the cycle repeats itself. So this circuitry, this cascade of habits run us when we're not conscious. And then when we try to change, when we try to bring forth a greater good, we find that that's difficult because we have so much unconscious conditioning that overrides any kind of conscious intention. So we have to do a couple of things. We have to extricate our consciousness out of the self system. We have to, in other words, observe how it is our self is running us when we're not giving it permission, when we're not conscious. And in order to break these habits of being, which tend to form themselves around three arenas: the habit of scarcity, the habit of judgment, and the habit of struggle, all become reinforced by this circuitry. Now, this circuitry is what we have, so we can use it, but we have to leverage it. We have to understand the brain science and the psychology and all the things that Dr. Joe has talked about. This science is now cutting edge and present. There's whole new fields called epigenetics, the science of how our thoughts can switch on and off genes. I mean, this is a whole new arena, and it's incumbent upon us to understand this and leverage this. And so I'm wanting to give you a tool to help you exit this system, the self-system, and then use it to create a memory of your future. Now, I'm using a specific way of framing a principle. In order for us to escape this system, we have to create a memory of our future. And that way, that's a workaround. And so what do I mean by that? Okay, so let's look at another principle. We're familiar with Scripture where Jesus is trying to teach his disciples how to manifest your heart's desires. And we've heard this scripture before. I'm going to share it again, because it goes to what we must be able to do if we are to create this greater good and then own our process of creating our future. So you'll find this in the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 14, I think, verses 23 and 24. And today I'm not going to share from the version that Jesus used. Last time I did share from the King James Version, the version that Jesus used when I was here. Okay, just checking in. I have to make sure that you're still connected to what's going on here. Okay, here we go. So truly I tell you that if anyone says to this mountain, "Be lifted up and cast into the sea," and has no doubt in his heart, but believes, it will come to pass. And then he says, "Therefore, I tell you, whatsoever you ask in prayer, believe that you have already received it, and it will be yours." And this is a prayer that you only pray once, because if you pray it twice, you're still not believing that you've already received it. You have to get to a place where you are conditioning your body in the felt state of what you're trying to create for yourself. You have to create that and feel your way into your future, as opposed to want something and then have a conflict within your self system, within that circuitry that's just going to cancel it out. You see, so we have to intentionally leverage the circuitry and be in the felt experience of creating the habit of moving into the felt experience of our future self. Okay, and now I'm going to close by giving you a tool that can easily do this. And this is one of the most powerful tools that I've used in my own personal transformation. I've been able to manifest abundance, wealth in my life, just using this one tool. And so I'm going to offer it, and then I have to go catch an airplane. Okay, that's my life. Running from one church whispering event to another. Okay, and so I'm wanting you all to really understand that we must create a memory of the future and stay connected to the felt experience as if it's already happening, because our brain does not know the difference. As Dr. Joe said, neurologically, it is possible to hold and have a felt experience of our future and it find us, as opposed to we having to create it out there. Okay, and so you have to experience this in order to believe it almost. That's sort of the way it is. And so here's the tool. Just one click away. It's the to-done list. All right, how many of you use to-do lists? Many of you do. I don't. Some people don't use make lists. My wife, Reverend Dr. Jane, she always is making lists. And so if you're into making lists, this is an easy thing for you. And if you're not into making lists, you just man up and do it anyway. Okay? So a woman up. I don't know if I'm being inappropriate. I'm old school, so just forgive me, please. Anyway, so here's how the to-done list works. All of us have things we have to do, right? And some of us make lists and some of us don't, but we still have things we have to do. And typically, all the things that we have to do fall into one of three categories. They're either things that we're looking forward to doing, or things that, they're just things I have to do, or things that we really, don't want to necessarily do because there's too much uncertainty or there's triggering a potential there. And so there's three categories. And so I'm wanting you to see that you start off with working with the fun things first before you start working with the harder things, okay? So you make a list, and then you identify each of the things that you're making a list. Excuse me, let me just go back. You write your list in the past tense as if it's already happened, it's already complete. and you describe the completed state of how you feel after having successfully fulfilled whatever it is that it was yours to do. And so I'll often ask those who are participating in some of my intensives to do a to-done list about how they want to feel at the end of the workshop. And so I'll give them an example. Like, this is what I would write down as an example of something in the past tense and me trying to work towards the felt experience of that lives in the future. And so I would write something like, if I was describing what I want to feel like at the end of my talk today. And by the way, I do this every time I speak. Before I speak, I ask myself, how do I want to feel at the end of my talk? And then I try to move towards that. Okay, so here's an example. Oh my God, I can't believe how awesome this workshop was. I'm so inspired, I'm so hopeful. I can't wait to get back to my church and talk about all these things I learned with my community. And you see, that's even before I had the experience of what the workshop was going to be about. And so as we are able to recondition our mind to look at our future and move towards the feeling that we want to have as we experience that, something wonderful begins to happen. We bypass all that circuitry and we actually create the experience that we want to have by virtue of holding on to that feeling, that felt state that it already exists right now. It has come to pass even before it has manifested in the outer. I live like that all the time. I live in the felt experience of what this work, of what we're creating together is going to be. And so that's why I know that you'll become a model ministry.
That's right.
Absolutely, right? And I know that as we begin to practice these principles, stepping out of trying to manage external circumstances and instead working with unleashing what we have within us that can transcend all the limitations of our conditioned self, I know that that's possible. And I want to teach you how to do that. And so here it is. This is your homework assignment. It's called the To-Done List Awareness Worksheet. And it's free. It cost thousands of dollars for me to go through the life experiences it took to create something like this. Like the Q process, for instance. You don't know what's behind that. That'll be a whole nother talk to tell you that story. Anyway, you pick up one of these on your way out today. And once again, I apologize. I have to make my way straightway to the airport afterwards. But just know that I'm your coach, and I'm connected to James. I'm so appreciative that James and I are back working to transform the New Thought movement, because we're going to get it done this time, right, James? All right. Amen.
Thank you, Gary. As Gary's kind of gathering up his material to head to the airport, we consider it already done. We affirm the blessings that are here for us as already complete, and we're getting into that process of divine circulation, and we're going to do that at the moment as we say our offertory blessing. So I invite you to take your gifts, your tithe, your love offering, or if you've already given, know that you are in this flow of absolute well-being in every area of your life, having more than enough. And with that awareness, let's say our offertory blessing together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
Thank you. Did you hear that?
We were just making sure that you were awake.
It's our awareness session.
Ready? Okay. 1, 2.
Took a little walk after midnight. Nobody else was around. I didn't go far, I just needed the stars to shine on me and help me see, catch on. When will we all catch on? To the glory of love. Tell me, what do you think we're living here for? Minds can move mountains if you just catch on. Looking out over the ocean, every little drop is a light. But it wouldn't be done without being as one, just like the sea. Will humanity catch on? When will we all catch on? To the glory of love. Tell me, what do you think we're living here for? Minds can move mountains if you just catch on. Catch on. When will we all catch on? To the glory of love. Tell me, what do you think we're living here for? Minds can move mountains. Ooh, yes they can. Minds can move mountains if you just catch on. Love will find a way, will lead, love will lead. Oh, catch on. Gonna take you to the beat. Hey, hey. Shine on me, help me see, just catch on, and don't take too long. Open up and show your love, come on, 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 show your love. Shine on me, help me see. Tell me, what do you think we're living here for? Minds can move mountains. You know they can. I said, minds can move mountains. Ooh, minds can move mountains if we just catch on. show your love. Open up and show your love. Shine, yeah. Ooh.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Ann, House Band, Paula, each and every one of you. And I'll say, Gary, wherever you are, we thank you for your bringing your consciousness to us today. And we bless the tithes and offerings, knowing they're going to bless the givers, receivers, this community, and ultimately our world, because this is what we're about. And we know it's already done. Amen. And with that, let us join in and sing our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And now our prayer for protection.